Hello everyone and welcome to the Pure GT social races here at the Nordschleife Industrielfahrten. My name is Jack Oliphant and today we are of course covering the Pure GT as per usual. As you can see, we have skipped qualifying. That's because we've got a slightly different format thanks to the unique nature of the track. And, well, you can see on your screens that Alec Westbrook is leading the Westbrook fight only by 0.2 of a second, which is a monumentally small margin on a track that is such a distance. Barry Rabbit in 3rd place, Paul Donkin in 4th, Clive Bailey in 5th, Andy Montgomery in 6th. Matt Emmons, thank you very much for tuning into Pure GT rather than the Next Gen Legends. I'm very touched. Alex Martin in 7th place, Mark Hoskin 8th, Anthony Mott 9th, Matt Dickens in 10th, Michael Tucker 11th, Chris Noct in 12th. Now, there is a little bit of a twist here. In fact, we're going to try and bring it up for you. There we go. So, we do actually have a couple of classes. So, Alec Westbrook, John Westbrook, Barry Rabbit, Paul Donkin, Clive Bailey, Andy Montgomery, Alex Martin, Mark Hoskin, Michael Tucker, Chris Knox rounding out the top 10. Richard Abra 11th, Terry Buckle in 12th. Followed by 13th, Adam Hayes, Christian Wafer in 14th, and then we have a GT3 category. Anthony Mott in 1st place, Matt Dickens in 2nd. For some reason the grid's just been taken away from me, even though I requested it not to be. But effectively what we have here is a 2-class event. You'll be able to see, hopefully, if they come up with the right colour. There we go, on the left hand side of your screen, a GTE GT3. Have they gone already? Was it a standing start? It was a standing start. My apologies. I expected them to go on a rolling start because that's what normally happens at the ring. But apparently we aren't. So Alec Westbrook is leading the way of everyone in the GTE category as well. John Westbrook has had to settle for 2nd place so far. And as I was saying before, he is in class, but it's also the overall GTE is slightly quicker than the GT3 as it turns out here at the Nordschleife Industrielfahrten. Paul Donkin in 3rd place at 1 position. That's because we've had a few big losers so far. Matt Dickens and Anthony Mott, 14th and 16th place. Barry Rabbit is actually probably the biggest loser out of all of it. They're currently down in 17th position. As you can see in the GT3 category, currently driving in the Ferrari, is Max Hunt leading the way. He's just gone past Richard Abra, so not sure what... Oh no, Richard Abra's just lagging in and out of existence as per usual in the iRacing events. Sometimes that can happen. Steve Gummer is 13th, but also 2nd in class. Quite a long way back from Max Hunt so far in the Mercedes by the looks of it. Anthony Mott in 3rd, not far away. And tell you what, Anthony Mott is a quick driver in the F3s. We've seen that in previous Pure GT rounds. What can he do here in the GT3s? There is only 6 drivers in the GT3. No, 5 drivers in the GT3. I'm actually classified as one of them, but I'm currently in the pits. Unfortunately, I didn't join the session quite as my usual route, so I'm not spectating. I'm technically competing as Steve Gummer goes straight over, and that's going to end badly. Into the pit wall he goes. Not into the pit wall, into the Armco he goes after going a little bit airborne. So Max Hunt takes the lead for the GT3 category now as we're looking at the GTEs. Paul Donkin's gone airborne. He's gone airborne in a serious manner and has gone back to the pits to join me. Alec Westbrook and John Westbrook are nice and side by side. Now, this isn't a team championship, so you will expect to see these guys going hammer and tong at each other, I'm sure. And you can see that they're not teammates, obviously, pretty much by the fact that they haven't got the teammate liveries on at all. But more to the fact, obviously, you know, they've never been teammates. There is no championship in the Pure GT. It is social races, just like the race info at the beginning of this program told you. Now, because we haven't got any best times or anything, we're going to give you the intervals up on the left-hand side, because normally we keep the best time up. But because there's only 3 laps here at the Nordschleife, it's better to just see who's getting nice and close to each other. In fact, Richard Abra and Mark Hoskin are getting pretty close to each other, about as close as you can imagine here at the Nordschleife. It's going to be a bit of a different than normal. Normally in these sort of categories, well, normally with an F3 car, that's the start. We're changing tack really rather quickly here, and we've never had GTE action on the Pure GT social races. It's nearly always been either the Ferrari GT3s, or Ferrari exclusively in the GT3s, or the F3s, which we've been covering for the past, it must be about a month and a half now. So this is a sort of a new attempt for all these drivers, something new to get used to, and anybody out there who's driven the iRacing GTE cars, or GTE cars I'm sure in general, they're very tricky to get the hang of. Adam Hayes going past Mark Hoskin there for 7th place. The GTEs, and that is a perfect example of what I was talking about, Michael Tucker, going straight on, thanks to the fact that there is no ABS. They're really difficult cars to drive. To get them slowed down efficiently takes real skill and a hell of a lot of practice as he goes round through what is a terrible camera angle. I think we can all unanimously agree there, going through that. I always wanted to call that the parabolica. It's oh my god, why is the carousel? Why did that go ahead of me? One of the most famous corners in motor racing. It's like forgetting what Eau Rouge is called. Havana Georgia, no, he's gone wide. Why on earth has he gone wide? It says he's 4th place. He is 4th place. That's why his timing tower, he should be saying that he's in the GT3 category. For some reason, his number's coming up as red. He should be black. So the black is the GT3. The red is the GTE, which is why the majority of drivers are representing the GTE. Those of you who were racing and probably wanted to maybe save a little bit of money and maybe use the GT3 Ferrari that they had before that is eligible for this race. I'm not sure if they're going to stick with this format or whether they're going to try and change it up a little bit, but at the moment I quite like it, to be honest. And if you get a decent sized grid, we've got 19 drivers here today, and to be honest, that's plenty enough to try and split down the middle and get a decent race. Around the Nordschleife, it's a little bit more difficult because these drivers, obviously, there's a bit of a golfing clash, shall we say. For instance, we've only had half a lap, basically, and the Westbrooks are 8.5 seconds clear of Chris Knox in 3rd place, who has gained 9 positions, though, thanks in a large way to the obvious fact that a lot of these drivers are probably falling off the circuit a little bit, which we're trying to avoid bringing up on the screens. But if there's a big notable crash, we'll try and cover it, and obviously we didn't really... Oh, that's a big notable crash from the 2 leaders, Alec Westbrook, and who's that behind? No, it wasn't Alec Westbrook. Sorry, it was Alec Westbrook. John Westbrook is the driver who's overtaken him for the race lead, and Chris Knox is in 3rd place. So let's see if we can have a quick gander of what happened there to Westbrook. I think it was, yeah, Chris Knox followed him almost in sympathy there. So as I was saying, it was 8.5 seconds, the gap between Westbrook and Knox. I'm actually trying to find out why on earth it went down so far. So this is Alec all on his own, and he spins out and touches the Armco there. So that's actually probably why. There we go. There's John Westbrook going through. Now this is going to be why Chris Westbrook catches up to him all of a sudden. Now is the... Ooh, that's a slab of the brakes, isn't it? Going through the corner there. Maybe Chris wasn't very confident going past him. Now we should see a bit of a coming together or a spin in sympathy. Sorry. Oh, I thought we were about to see it then. Let's see if we can just find it so we can jump to it straight away. I think I have just found it. This is Chris Knox going off down out of the 2nd carousel and just spits him out. Got to get that angle. It's all about the angle through the carousel there. So Alec Westbrook still ahead of Chris Knox, thanks to the fact they obviously came off in unison. At 4.5 seconds, so the cap's actually come down since we were watching that as we are starting the 2nd lap of the race. 3 laps, the good, for these 2 races, the first 2 races, as you have been watching the Pure GT. Barry Rabbit's PC crashed as I went to the grid, says Barry. That's unlucky. The reason why we came in such a rush is because I thought you guys would be able to, you know, the countdown would tick over, the half-an-hour countdown would tick over, and then you would have like 5 minutes basically to try and finish your lap. But you guys were on it a lot quicker than I expected you to be, so fair play to the Pure GT guys. Unlucky for Barry, apparently, as I said, his PC crashed as he was going to the grid, so one of a lot of drivers who aren't actually taking part anymore, so there should be 20 cars out there at the moment, but Barry Rabbit is 12th, Paul Donkin 13th, Kai Bailey 14th, and all these drivers haven't set any kind of lap so far. So I'm really curious to see what on earth happened there. We'll see, let's have a look and see if we can see what happened on the green flag, because obviously I thought we were going to go for a rolling start, and it wasn't to be. These Pure GT guys do like to keep me guessing here. So as you get across the line, Alec Westbrook on 1st place there, and we'll just have a look back and see the likes of Terry Buckle. There's plenty of bumping and barging there. It's a really difficult place. Oh, there we go. Yeah, that's always pretty much going to be inevitable, wasn't it? So Terry Buckle goes round. Clive Bailey carries on. How far does Clive Bailey get without an incident? I think Dickens has had a moment as well. Yeah, that was Dickens going round. And there's plenty more. Anthony Mott had an incident right at the beginning in the GT3 category. Oh, a little bit too deep there from the car behind, and that actually set off a hell of a lot of action. That's how Chris Knox got all the way through, wasn't it? Because if you saw there, oh, and that is Anthony Mott going absolutely flying. It's lucky damage is off in this series, isn't it, boys? Because otherwise this could be ending really rather poorly. I remember right at the beginning of the Pure GT series, when we started covering it in early 2021, a lot of drivers were going airborne, purely for the fact that the car, the GT3 that we were using back then, the Ferrari, was basically a ramp. It reminded me of, I'm sure, you know, you guys will have heard of Halo, the video game. Well, when the original Halo came out on the original Xbox, we used to take it to my friend's house and with my brother and all our karting friends, and we used to, there's a car in it called the Warthog, and we used to try and see who can get the best jump the furthest, and make races even on a shoot-em-up game. That's how obsessed my brother was with racing since he was at an early age. So, yeah, but that just reminds me, anytime the cars go in the air, it's very much like that. It's like stunt driving in a Warthog on Halo. For anybody out there who knows what I'm on about, I'll be very impressed, to be honest. Props to you. Alex Martin is 2.5 ahead of Richard Abra. You can see Richard, he keeps lagging in and out slightly. Now, that is one of the features, shall we say, of iRacing. Sometimes, you know, something you don't really have to contend with in real life racing. The fact that a driver can disappear and reappear within a blink of an eye, and Richard Abbott doing exactly that right now, and then all of a sudden reappearing in the background. You can see him now. So that is why, if Richard does sort of disappear, and you think, oh my days, he's crashed out or something. Well, no, he may just disappear like he has, and then boop, back into existence. So as we sort of half expected, not many people, you know, that close here around the Nordschleife. It's a bit of an experienced track in my opinion. It doesn't always create the best racing. It does create some fantastic racing, you know, when you have, yeah, especially in the real life, the WEC series, the Blancpain, VLNs, all that sort of thing. It's fantastic to see them, you know, barreling around for 24 hours. But when it comes to sim racing, I've never been completely convinced by the Nordschleife. It takes an awful lot of skill, but an awful lot of the sort of fear factor goes away, and that is, if anything, what makes this track so exhilarating to watch and see the drivers on the limit. And obviously, it's such a long track. There's a lot of corners to mess up, and that's why, you know, you see bigger gaps already. Alex Martin is 12 seconds back from Chris Knox. Alec Westbrook is slowly pulling away from Chris and back up to John Westbrook. You see Alec qualified on pole, but only by 0.2 of a second, so I wouldn't expect it to be a massive gain per lap over the brother, the father, the son. I'm not sure which way around it is. Still, no one's ever told me what the difference is between the two Westbrooks, whether they are related or not. Dickens and Mott, though, going side by side. Now, I think Dickens has had an incident. In fact, I'm right, Dickens has had an incident. Let's have a look. Ooh, facing backwards is never a fantastic way to start a highlight. And a little bit of a 3-point turn, 4-point turn maybe. What's the steering rack going to be? Oh, no, gone round again. Matt Dickens. No wonder that Anthony Mott managed to catch up. There goes through. I think that was Andy Montgomery in the Chevrolet. Just waiting for Anthony Mott to come past, actually. Matt Dickens had an absolutely huge gap. I think that's him going through there. So these two for the GT3 lead is going to be heating up. Again, Matt Dickens is in a GT3 car. I'm not entirely sure why the timer down on the left-hand side has decided that he's, you know, going to be classified as a GTE, but he definitely is in the GT3 category. So it's Max Hunt. Sorry, it's Anthony Mott leading the GT3s, followed by Matt Dickens, Havana Gevorgian in 3rd place, Max Hunt all the way down in 4th place now, and actually is in the pit after an earlier incident. We just started the final lap of the race with John Westbrook currently leading 4 seconds, or 3.5 seconds ahead of Alec, who is 4 seconds ahead of Chris Knox. And then it's Richard Abra, Alex Martin. So Richard Abra did get past Alex Martin in the end. Alex Martin in 5th place. Let's see if we can figure out why. Christian Wafer, who's been in the YouTube chat, looking very much like a Westbrook in that yellow liveried puff. Apparently he's had a crack. Oh, there it is. Yep, straight into the tyre wall. Now, no damage on these cars. If anybody's new to watching the Pure GT series, there is no damage on these cars. Which is why, obviously, when Christian Wafer makes an incident like that, it doesn't look like his car has been hurt that badly. Then you got Michael Tucker. He's in 6th position at the moment, coming on to this last lap. Mark Hoskin in 7th. Andy Montgomery in 8th place. And then you got a GT3s. We've ran through them slightly early on, so we'll do this quickly. Anthony Mott leading the GT3 category. Just realised the selected colour. There we go. That's the reason why. So the selected colour. If anybody's trying to broadcast SDK or anything like that, iRacing, you can see if I have the selected colour on my timing tower, that is classified as red because it's Pure GT. That's the normal branding. So if we put that to stripe, you can see now that Anthony Mott is now classified in the correct category for the GT3s on the timing towers on the left-hand side. Apologies for any confusion that may have caused. Matt Dickens in 2nd place now after that earlier also with Havana Gevorgian in 3rd. Max Hunt rounds out the top 4 for the GT3s. And then there's Christian Wafer, who's lodged himself in a little bit of a sandwich here because he's in amongst the GT3s rather than the desirable GTEs that he'd rather be in. He is a couple of laps down as well, so that's not going to help him. John Westbrook's lead is slowly getting eaten away. And with just about 2/3 of the lap, I'd say, to go. In fact, yeah, bang on 2/3 of the lap to go. It's not done and dusted for Westbrook here. I would probably wager having a Westbrook victory. It's just which way it goes for Alec or for John. Apologies, that was just me dropping a bolt for my Fanatec. But with a few lockups like that, John is not necessarily going to get the best exit and the best consistency that he's looking for over the course of the rest of this lap. GTE cars are, as I've said before, predominantly very difficult to drive. That's the biggest thing about them. The lack of ABS really hurts you. And if anybody's been watching Jacko Racing on the Friday night, we cover a next-gen GTE league. In fact, Matt Emmons, who's given a like on the stream as well already, is the admin for the next-gen league. And that is GTEs. And it's very, very difficult. You know, we're always sort of looking for the excuses, I'd say. Not excuses, but the reasons why drivers may be locking up or finding it hard to drive these cars. Well, the GTEs are just difficult. I went from an MX-5 when I started iRacing into a GTE car. I went to the BMW M8 purely because it was the closest thing that I could think of to doing sort of slightly endurance-y touring car event thing. That was the league races on iRacing. Looked the most attractive to me, and obviously, brother being a BMW driver, I thought I'd give it a go, see how hard could it be. What I didn't realise is I didn't know much back then about the GTE category. Obviously, I knew GT3, GT4, and all those sort of things, but the GTEs were a bit of a mystery to me. So when I went into the corner expecting ABS, and I went straight on at Laguna Seca Corkscrew, it was a bit of a learning curve, and I spent the next 3 or 4 weeks really trying to get to grips with it until they then released the BMW GT4, which I jumped into and found a lot more sort of my taste. So I do know how hard it is to drive the GTEs. They're not, you know, easy cars to get the grips of. So it's very impressive that these guys have got to grips with them so quickly. I mean, the likes of John Westbrook and Alec Westbrook, Chris Knox especially, will be obviously on iRacing quite a bit. Chris Knox has probably got the highest iRating on the entire. In fact, no, I tell a lie. Anthony Mott, obviously, he's a team driver. The name's just got off my head. Who does he drive for? It's not Exiled, but I'm pretty sure there's an X in there somewhere. Apologies, Anthony Mott. I've actually momentarily forgotten the team that you drive for, which is terrible, really, because I've been commentating on the team since I started commentating about a year ago this week, to be honest. I think it's a year ago tomorrow, since I had my first commentary broadcast for the PMR touring car, the PMR TCR next gen. I forgot what that was called as well. Well, I'm having a proper mind blank evening tonight, which is never brilliant for a commentator, is it? But we'll just focus on the action that's going on at the moment. John Westbrook having a bit of a moment on one of the curbs, coming up to one of the slower sections of the course. Very important, though, to come out of the second carousel cleanly. We saw Alec Westbrook and Chris Knox get it wrong and go into the Armco, but it looks like John's got it all cleaned up, and I don't think it's going to be a Alec Westbrook victory here tonight. He's 5.2 seconds back from the race leader at the moment. The rest of the field are separated by at least 3 seconds, is the closest that I can see, and that's between Matt Dickens and Anthony Mott for the GT3 category. So as they go along the Dallara Straight, you can see John Westbrook in blissful isolation as he comes over to get the checkered flag. It's not going onto the F1 circuit. That is not what this track is. It's purely the ring, basically. It's you'll see that where they normally cut left after the end of this straight, they're going through a complex. They normally dive left to go onto what is basically the F1 circuit. Well, these guys carry on, so it's going to be a checkered flag about to drop here for John Westbrook as he's coming across the line after this right-hander where he turns away from the F1 circuit, and it is the checkered flag dropping for John Westbrook for the Pure GT Social Races. Alec Westbrook comes across the line to take second place. Chris Knox rounds the final corner to take third and round out the podium, as we're probably focused now a little bit further back on the GT3 category as the rest of the GTEs finish up their run. Hopefully we can have the likes of Barry Rabbit jumping on and joining us for the second and third race of the evening. If anybody wasn't paying attention earlier on, well, we do have 3 races. This is the first one. The next one is another 3-lap event around the same track. Well, I think that's followed exactly after this one. Straight away, no messing about here for the Pure GT guys. And then there's about a 10-minute break while we go and the guys can go for a drink, or they can go for a wee, or anything they need to do. And then we're going into the third and final race of this evening, which is, I'm reliably informed, a 4-lap race, so a feature-length race. In essence, probably be about 5 to 7 minutes longer, well, 6 to 7 minutes longer than the first 2, which will be interesting to see how the guys, hack that basically, and how they sort of adapt to it, whether they set the car up differently, whether they can last the length. We may have some thrills and spills right at the end, but Anthony Mott doesn't look like he's looking for thrills or spills. Just checkered flag and glory in the GT3 category. Anthony Mott comes across the line to take that victory and the fastest lap of the race in that category. Matt Dickens comes across to take second. Going to come across in the really striking Lambo. You don't see many of the Lambo GT3 around and about, and I have to say that's a fantastic looking thing for Gevorgian. In fact, Gevorgian's actually quite a long way back, isn't there? The gap between Matt Dickens and Havana's is pretty monumental, to be honest. It's, well, about 30-odd seconds. No, 1 minute and 10 seconds of difference at the end there for Matt Dickens and Havana's Gevorgian. And then we've actually got another 34 seconds back to Max Hunt, which you can see. And then in 8th place in the GTE category, I think Christian Wafer is, well, you can see on the graphic at the top right-hand side of your screen. A long way to go for Christian. I'm not sure if he'll bother doing that, or whether maybe he'll just spawn back to the pits. It might actually be quicker, considering he won't actually be able to, make any more placing. It looks like he has stopped, and there we go. He has. Oh, Havana's has span it. I don't think that's going to hurt him enough, because damage isn't on to lose the position to Max Hunt. But that's not what Havana's was wanting on the camera as he was rounding out the penultimate corner, is it? It's never nice to see a driver spin out, but as he comes across the line, Gevorgian will take that 3rd place. Max Hunt wasn't quite close enough to take advantage of that, although it would have been a close run thing, to be fair. So as Max Hunt rounds out the final complex, it's the final driver to finish. I think Andy Montgomery is in the pits, but I think he's classified as taking the checkered flag. So Max Hunt comes across the line to round out the entire field, and we can bring you the race results. In fact, no, what might be easier is to bring you the grid for the next race. As you can see, John Westbrook is on pole position. Again, Alec Westbrook in 2nd, Chris Knox in 3rd, Alex Martin 4th, Michael Tucker 5th, Mark Hoskins 6th, Andy Montgomery 7th, Richard Aber in 8th, Christian Wafer in 9th, Adam Hayes in 10th, Paul Donkin 11th, Clive Bailey in 12th. 13th is Terry Buckle, and Barry Rabbit rounds out the field thanks to the fact that his PC crashed at the beginning of the first race. And then you got the GT3 category, Anthony Mott in first place, Matt Dickens in second, Havana George in third, Max Hunt fourth, Steve Gummer in fifth place, and then you've got my name there, but as I've explained before, I'm not racing. I just accidentally joined the session in the wrong fashion. Hold my hands up. Sometimes you have got to hold your hands up and accept when you've done wrong. Unfortunately, I did wrong there. So as the drivers get ready to go, we will actually catch the beginning of this race. There is no warm-up. It's just straight as the lights go out. We're away for the second time this evening, and it's an absolutely barnstorming start for Alec Westbrook. But John Westbrook has been turned around. I'm not sure by whom, as I think that's Steve Gummer who's been in an accident as well. No, it's Matt Dickens. Matt Dickens getting turned around, and he's still turned around as he's trying to spin the car up to get going again, straight into the Armco, the steering rack not aiding him there. Anthony Mott is a very lone GT3 car in amongst an awful lot of GTEs as Alec Westbrook, what on earth has happened? John Westbrook, what on earth has happened to him? Another GTE off the road, Michael Tucker that was, you could see, maybe cold tyres playing a part in these earlier incidents. Christian Wafer, Havana Georgian have also had incidents. A couple of drivers, Havana Georgian has actually gone back to the pit lane. Trying to see if anybody else has actually gone backwards, but I don't think they have. Alex Martin here is holding off John Westbrook for now. Now we know John is obviously very quick. He's won the first race. What can he do about the second? It's going to be a recovery drive, and it's going to be one that he needs to recover from quickly because he's already 2.5 seconds back from Chris Knox, who just has a little bit of a lockup going through that corner. But it's not so easy to overtake here at the Nordschleife. It's a bit of a one-line pony if you really don't want to carry that speed and momentum. As I said, Anthony Mott, really lone driver. You have to look all the way back down to 12th place overall to find the next one. That's Steve Gummer. So Anthony Mott, as long as he keeps it clean, doesn't quite get in the GTE's way, he can see himself on for another race victory here, I'm sure. As I said, the second race of this evening, the one we're looking at, is going to be another 2-lap race and a 2x2 side-by-side moment there for Mark Hoskin and Richard Abra. This is a lovely little battle going on in the midfield section here, isn't there? John Westbrook and Alex Martin are still fighting. Keep an eye on that on the top left-hand side of your screen. But as one of the drivers goes wide, I think that's Richard Abra still lagging in and out of existence. That makes it very difficult for the cars around them to race. Andy Montgomery and Barry Rabbit. Barry Rabbit here, Lee looked at the inside, gave it a little bit of a sniff, but nothing doing just yet. Chevrolets, a popular car choice by the looks of it with a lot of these drivers, as puffs of smoke appear left, right and centre from Paul Donkin just behind as well. Christian Wafer and Adam Hayes nice and close to each other, and I tell you what, Alec Westbrook has lost a lot of time to Chris Knox as we focus towards the front end of the order yet again. Chris has shown that he's not necessarily got an awful amount of pace, but the fact that he has to travel back from work, he's very busy with work pretty much constantly, is Chris Knox. Oh, he's going to get taken out though here. Oh, that's absolutely good. And Alec Westbrook tries to slow it, potentially to let him back going. John Westbrook goes through and can potentially catch them both up. There we go. Alex Martin goes through as well. So Alex couldn't hold off John, but he has overtaken Chris here. And Alec now under a huge amount of pressure for John, who looks up the inside. Now there's no damage, remember. So these guys aren't hurting. There is no damage for John Westbrook. Sorry, Alec Westbrook. Sometimes it gets very confusing as John slides his way through. Going back to this mid-pack battle here. Oh, to say that. John was through and now has gone off himself into the tyre wall. And Alex Martin goes into second place just as we cut away from that as well. And we'll just have a very quick look at how on earth he did it. No, that's not far enough back. A lot of speed taken through, too much. Is that bravery corner as well? Well, it's lived up to the name. And as he tries to come back on the circuit without damaging anyone, he damages himself. As Richard Abba runs a little bit wide and he's lost a lot of pace and a lot of space as well. Chris Knox trying to recover, trying to get past Anthony Mott. Barry Rabbit in 7th place, Paul Donkin in 8th, Andy Montgomery 9th, Clive Bailey in 10th, Christian Wafer 12th, obviously that's 10th in classes. Anthony Mott goes, lets him through, but Chris sent too much speed to the inside, and so did Richard Abra. These guys can't keep it on the circuit at the moment, especially the likes of Chris Knox. He seems to be flying off left, right and centre. Let's have a look and see how he did it. Just trying to launch himself up the inside of Anthony Mott, who gave him the room, gave him the inside, but he took too much curb. Well, he didn't take too much curb. He absolutely smashed the hell out of the curb. John Westbrook gets through on Alex Martin at the front of the order, but we want to try and keep up to date with what's going on here because it's so close between these drivers as Chris Knox runs a touch wide over trying to overtake Barry Rabbit now. You can't really keep up with who's ahead of this one. Well, we do know that Anthony Mott is ahead overall in this little fight. I think that's Richard Abra who's gone wide and he's gone over the Chevrolet, acting as a scoop to send the other Chevrolet of Richard Abra onto his roof. Alex Martin and Alec Westbrook. I tell you what, compared to the first race, this is going mental. Alec Westbrook's hit that curb. He's hit it hard as well. We're not even through the first lap of the race so far, boys, and we can't seem to keep it on the track. Oh, there's more contact as they go through. That's Andy Montgomery and Clive Bailey. Oh, my days. I tell you what, the Nordschleife, it's got a reputation of being an extremely difficult track to drive and let alone race on. I think we're seeing all of that demonstrated here tonight, aren't we? Amazingly, there's every opportunity here that Anthony Mott could come away with an overall podium in not just the GT3s, which he's leading by a substantial margin, but also the GTEs. I mean, he's getting overtaken here thanks to the fact that the GTEs have a power advantage over him, not by an awful lot. I think they have a little bit more downforce as well, the GTEs. I'm not actually 100% sure on the overall difference. So obviously, Anthony has now got himself into the slipstream. It doesn't look like that much of a difference. Whether or not he's just knowing that he doesn't have to fight these guys and he's just letting them go. No, it looks like he's trying to get into the mix. He's trying to make it 3 wide. There's a spin there for Paul Donkin as Anthony Mott was looking to make it 3 wide. Chris Knox, I think, slightly got away with that one. But all of a sudden, Chris Knox going off again. In through the penultimate corner, goes through the final one now. And we'll have a look and see what happened to Paul Donkin there. It looks like Anthony Mott will just go on board with him here. Well, I mean, I'll leave the opinion until we've seen it through. Oh, to be fair, that's a big move across. That's a big move across from Donkin. See it on board from Donkin's perspective. Oh, it's difficult to say there, but if you have a look at Anthony Mott's perspective. Now, they are coming off a corner, so maybe the natural line for Donkin is to come across, but it's not so demanding a corner that Donkin needs to carry on that line. I think he could have straightened up a long time ago. If you look at Mott's steering angle, he was straight for a long time as Donkin kept coming across. Maybe classify as a racing incident. I'll leave that one for you guys to decide, I suppose. Now, we don't know Barry Rabbit's true pace, really, around here tonight, because obviously he wasn't involved in the first race of the evening, so it's pretty difficult for us to actually nail down what we can say, oh, this is a deserved position. Chris Knox, we've seen very quick in the first race, maybe not as quick as the two Westbrooks. Oh, Steve Gummers had an incident. This is going through over the start-finish straight, and I'm not sure what Gummers doing here. He's pulling off and coming into the pit, so Gummers giving up the ghost. But like I said, Chris Knox was very quick. He was in 3rd place. That's whether or not, I think Alex Martin actually might be the driver that's potentially under a little bit of threat here, because they were definitely not as quick as the likes of Chris Knox, that's for sure, or the Westbrooks. Now, Knox, the biggest challenge for him so far this evening has been keeping it on the circuit. I will be honest, apparently I think I did distract him during qualifying, so I do apologise, Chris, because I dragged him into the comms box. I haven't still got him in the comms box though, so I can't take responsibility for anything else that's happening to him this race. But I did drag him in during qualifying, which potentially did ruin his run. Luckily, it wasn't anything major. I did fear that the broadcast may not be running as smoothly as I was hoping, but it looks like it's going all right. Touch wood. We just sat in the pit lane. After that earlier incident, Donkin has caught back up to Andy Montgomery. And This is the thing with endurance racing, isn't it? It goes into a bit of a lull, and all of a sudden there's about 3 battles going on at once. We'll keep with the front one, although Donkin and Montgomery have now switched positions. Donkin going through with the Porsche RSR. Andy Montgomery having to settle for 7th position at the moment. Now, I'm sure Alex Martin will be thrilled with the prospect of potentially fighting for a podium position, but how long can they hang on for? That's the question. Barry Rabbit in 3rd place has moved up 16 places. Apparently, Housey's said the panels have failed, which is that Steve Gummer? It's Housey on the YouTube chat. Oh yeah, SG. SG's put at the end, so I'm guessing that's Steve Gummer. Yeah, so that's never useful. Oh, that's never useful either. It's a huge pilot. No, it's not. How on earth have the other two got away with it? Barry Rabbit and Chris Knox. How on earth are they still on the track from that one? Alex Martin had 2nd in their sights. Gets out of the way. Oh, I tell you what, Anthony Mott wouldn't be very happy if all of a sudden there was a huge incident. Alec Westbrook fighting back through the order, but no, not for long. As iRacing Physics decides that he wants to put it on his roof. Luckily, he just about got away with it. But, yeah, Alec Westbrook now being overtaken by Donkin, Montgomery, Alex Martin even. So, all of a sudden, the fight, probably the closest fight that we've got on circuit at the moment, is this one. As Donkin goes wide on through the carousel. And Montgomery goes back through all of a sudden. I want to have a quick look at how on earth Alex Martin... Oh, I should have dipped on the outside. I want to know how the other two got away with it. Sensational that the fact that the two... Let's slow it right down. Maybe go to a different... Oh, my days. I think those two should be buying a lottery ticket, Barry Rabbit and Chris Knox, because how on earth they got away with that one is beyond me. Sensational stuff. Barry, though, he's not... He had it all his own way just yet, has he? As Chris hunts him down. You know, there's about 2/3 of the way through, just over 2/3, probably 3/4 of the way through this 2nd lap. So we've got about a lap and 1/4 to go. John Westbrook 8 odd seconds in the clear, and no worries for him unless he makes a mistake. But it's interesting to see Barry Rabbit and Chris Knox. You know, I think Chris probably does just have a little bit of an edge, maybe in pace, but it's consistency that he's going to have to really work on here tonight, especially in the 4-lap race. That's going to be really when, you know, things come to light, and whether or not he can carry on that charge. Because as I said, he's clearly got a bit of pace about him, and especially in the slipstream, you can use that to your advantage. But well, coming down here is Hoskin. Has he had an accident? No. Just Christian Wafer, I think, lagging in and out of existence, making it appear that the gap is extending and closing and extending and closing. Speaking of closing, this is on the Dollinger Straight now, and Barry Rabbit is under attack, shall we say, from a fellow Chevrolet. Going through on the inside is Chris Knox. He has got his nose ahead, but for how long? If Barry Rabbit gets close enough, there's every opportunity for a side draft. It's quite powerful in iRacing, the side draft. It's quite powerful in real life racing, to be honest. More powerful than a lot of people realise, I believe, as Barry Rabbit goes a little bit wide through there. He had a lot of overspeed. Oh, my days. They're going to go too wide through the final complex. No, well done, boys, because that was never going to work. As John Westbrook starts the final lap of this race, Barry Rabbit goes a little bit too deep. Is that going to be the opportunity gone for him? Going through on Andy Montgomery is Alec Westbrook in 6th place now. Job done and dusted, I'd say, for him. Not too much of a fight from Donkin. From Donkin. No, from Montgomery. Not that he could put up much of a fight, but especially with the slipstream going his way. Now, Alec has 4 seconds to catch over the next lap to Paul Donkin, who's gained 10 positions. The driver who's gained the 2nd most amount of positions in this race off the starting order. He's in 5th at the moment. Obviously, it means he started in 15th, gaining 10. Barry Rabbit is in 3rd, and he gained 16 positions so far. Oh, Alec Westbrook. As I was saying, you could potentially catch the next driver, Andy Montgomery, who had a little bit of two or three stabs at the rat there, I think, to just try and get the car around. Has missed out on an opportunity to get Westbrook back behind him. And that's the thing with this track, it can really bite you As soon as you get it slightly wrong, there is no forgiveness. And I don't know if anybody's ever seen the video. I think it was by Calf Bottle. Although there's probably other videos as well explaining it on YouTube. About how much potentially... Oh, where are you going, Andy Montgomery? Getting away with it, that's what you're doing. There's Alex Martin, who's trying to go on a bit more of a surge back through the order. This could end badly. This could end very badly. No, Alex Martin just about finds enough room to squeeze the car through. And a good move by them. So Andy Montgomery, all of a sudden, he had an opportunity to potentially overtake Alec Westbrook, and I completely lost that opportunity as Alex Martin locks up hard and potentially ruins an exit out of the corner. But again, Andy's not really got the pace to try and take advantage of that fact just yet. We haven't mentioned the GT3s that much, and that's because there's not really much of a fight. As you can see on the left-hand side of your screen, we've got first place in the GT3s in 4th place overall. Second place in the GT3s is all the way down in 12th place overall. So it's not exactly going particularly well for Dickens. It is going an awful lot better than the other competitors in the GT3 category. Havana Gevorgian in the pit lane, Max Hunt, pit lane, Steve Gummer, pit lane. So there is only 2 drivers out there in this category, which is why at least they're guaranteed a podium, even if Matt Dickens obviously span out now. Oh! John Westbrook! What's occurring? He's in 3rd place. What? Somebody enlighten me, please. Westbrook's gone back to the pits. Chris Knox has taken this race lead. What on earth has happened to John Westbrook? Oh, he's just span it out. His car's been stuck. I've never seen that. I've never seen that. If you're watching this on Facebook or YouTube or something, then clip that, because that is quite sensational. I think if you hit !clip on Facebook, you can actually save that as a replay, basically, and it'll be shared. Oh, no, that's not it. So he comes through, clips the outside curb. All right, that's not very fair. And then he just gets stuck. That is sensational. That is one way to lose a race. Leading with absolutely nothing stopping him, John Westbrook. All of a sudden, in a bit of bother, shall we say. Christian Wafer had an off-track just then, and has allowed Michael Tucker to catch up. The Chris Knox is 3.6 seconds away. Sorry, what am I on about? It's nearly 2/3 of the way through this final lap. And Barry Rabbit's just overtaken him. What is everybody doing? Nobody wants to win this race. Chris Knox hits a curb, hits a curb, hits the Armco, goes in, hits more Armco, comes off the track, goes in to hit some more curbs, and Barry Rabbit goes through. If somebody would like to win this race, it'd be very interesting, as Chris Knox now piles on the pressure, but how much is he going to have to try and put through that car to actually get this race victory now? Anthony Mott is on for an overall podium. Anthony Mott winning the GT3 category, and I said it earlier on in this race, he could potentially be on for an overall podium. Well, it's not so wishful thinking anymore. There's actual practical limitations to this one. Anthony Mott hasn't put a foot wrong. He's let the GTEs pass when he's had to, and he's just kept up his positioning, kept it consistent, trying to do the best that he can. And it's working. A first in GT3 at the moment and a 3rd place overall. Fingers crossed that's not the commentator's curse, because the last thing we want is for that to occur. But it's still very impressive by Anthony Mott. I think anybody can agree. Montgomery, I think, has had another spin. Paul Donkin is going to potentially take that overall podium away from Anthony Mott. Oh, this can be disastrous for him. Donkin crawling over the back of the higher downforce GTE car. Anthony Mott, he's only got about 20% of the lap to go. As I mean, it doesn't sound like a lot, but it is quite a lot when you consider it's the Nordschleife. And as they go into the carousel, the second carousel, Donkin comes off cleanly. Anthony Mott can't quite get on the power. Barry Rabbit and Chris Knox. Now this is a slipstream. This is important for this race victory here. because we are in the final lap of the race as Chris Knox gives him the flash of the light. It was in Chris Knox's hand. It was in John Westbrook's hand. It's now in Barry Rabbit. But I don't think Barry has quite as much control as the other two did in it, because the slipstream has really come to Chris Knox's aid. And as long as he can keep it on the circuit for the final complex, I think this may well go Chris Knox's way, although Barry Rabbit hasn't given it up as he cuts across the line. He locks up. Is that too much speed? They've both got too much speed in. All of a sudden, they've gone into a tie wall, and Barry Rabbit goes around the outside to get a cleaner exit through the final corner. The cutback's on for Chris Knox as they come across the line. It is Barry Rabbit by a tenth of a second ahead of Chris Knox. Paul Donkin is 20 seconds back, but my goodness, what a race. I think everybody needs a breather after that. It's a good thing we're going to a shorter break, as Donkin comes across the line to take third, and that's a big gutting for Anthony Mott. I'm sure he'll be very happy with the victory in the GT3 category, but my goodness, it could have been an overall victory there, couldn't it? That was sensational stuff in the second race. So, yeah, the first one was a little bit quiet. Well, the second one really stood up and showed what this grid is all about. So as a few more of the cars come over the line, we're going to bring you the results from race number 1 here this evening. It is John Westbrook who took that victory. Alec Westbrook in second place. Chris Knox rounded out that podium. Alex Martin in 4th. Michael Tucker 5th. Mark Hoskins 6th. Andy Montgomery was in 7th place. And winning the GT3 category was Anthony Mott. 2nd was Matt Dickens. And 3rd was Havanas Gevorgian. Max Hunt was in 4th place in that category, 11th overall. Richard Abra 12th, 1 lap down. Christian Wafer 13th, a lap down. Adam Hayes 14th, a lap down. Paul Donkin 2 laps down in 15th. Clyde Bailey 2 laps down in 16th. Gummert 2 laps down in 17th. And Terry Buckle 2 laps down in 18th position. And only 2 drivers left, well, 1 driver left to mention really, Barry Rabbit. Obviously his PC didn't start, and obviously my name shouldn't really be there. Hopefully I'll be able to bring you the results for that race, but I think Terry Buckle is just coming up to finish in the Porsche RSR. Bit of a leisurely pace around the final corner. Terry Buckle comes across the line there. We can now bring you the results for the second evening's action. Barry Rabbit then confirmed taking it by less than a tenth of a second ahead of Chris Knox after that interesting end to the race. Interesting final lap especially. Paul Donkin in 3rd, Anthony Mott in 4th, Alex Martin 5th. Oh, Anthony Mott also took the victory for the GT3 category. Andy Montgomery in 6th place, Mark Hoskins in 7th, Christian Wafer in 8th. Matt Dickens took 2nd place in the GT3s. Michael Tucker in 10th, Adam Hayes in 11th, Terry Buckle in 12th. John Westbrook a lap down after leading for the majority of the race and then getting stuck in the Armco at the Nordschleife was 13th. Alec Westbrook joining him in the sort of lap down category, 14th. Max Hunt 3rd in the GT3s, but a lap down. I think DNFing in 15th. Steve Gummert 16th. Richard Abbott 17th. And Clive Bailey in 18th position. Now we do have a little bit of a break coming up for you, as that was 2 back-to-back action-packed races for you. I think it's safe to say that the second one certainly would have taken its toll. I think we have... Do we have another driver? Yeah, Havanas Gevorgian. Sorry about that. In 19th place in the GT3 category as well. So as you can see on your screens, it is the Pure GT social races around the Nordschleife Industrielfahrten. I think I'm saying that right. In the GTE and GT3 categories this evening, changing over from the Dallara F3s. We'll just stick around to see if anybody wants to come and have a chat to us this evening. Maybe the likes of John Westbrook would be very interesting, but I don't think John actually joins the voice chat for that one. So what we will do is go to a short break. If anybody wants to come in for an interview, we'll do that when we come back, just before they start racing. So we'll be right back. Hello everyone and welcome back to the Pure GT Social Races. I believe we're about to go into the grid for the final time this evening. It's a top 6 reverse grid which sees Anthony Montgomery on pole position, from Alex Martin in second place, Paul Donkin in third, Chris Knox ends up in fourth place with Barry Rabbit in fifth, and obviously that is, I said, top 6 reverse grid, but Anthony Mott was in there somewhere and he's starting actually on third place overall on the grid. In fact, we'll just bring you the overall grid positions. There we go. So Anthony Montgomery in first place, Alex Martin second, Anthony Mott in third, Paul Donkin in fourth, Chris Knox in fifth, Barry Rabbit in sixth, Hart Hoskin seventh, Christian Wafer eighth, Matt Dickens starts ninth, Michael Tucker in 10th, Adam Hayes in 11th, and Terry Buckle in 12th. 13th down sees John Westbrook and Alex Westbrook. Looking forward to seeing. Right, hopefully you guys can now hear me. Apologies if you couldn't just then. I was going through everything as a few drivers lock up. It is Alex Martin still holding off Chris Knox, and Barry Rabbit has gone wide. So Chris Knox and then Alex Westbrook as well gaining 9 positions. John Westbrook gaining 7 positions here at the Nordschleife for the final time this evening. This is a 4-lap race now. So 1 lap further than they have been doing in the previous couple. There's a couple of lockups there. Through the corner, and there's contact with Mark Hoskin and Alec Westbrook. So Westbrook just parking himself just off the racing line. Will now have to try and fight through yet again. John Westbrook's already up to 4th place and looks like he's got 3rd in his sight. Chris Knox has gone past Alex Martin, and if you didn't hear me at the beginning of that, when we came back, I do apologise. My software decided to break, which is never good. And as we're saying that maybe some drivers should break, just like my software, John Westbrook gets fired into the wall. Such a difficult track to car through the order that quickly. But obviously, the disparity in pace here this evening means that you really do, if you want any chance of trying to get a race victory, you really do have to get through as quickly as you can. Just realised that Matt Dickens is leading the GT3 category. Anthony Mott is in the pit lane. What on earth happened to Anthony Mott? We will be having a full review of that green flag because there's so much to dissect. And obviously my mic wasn't working as Michael Tucker goes wide. Barry Rabbit goes back through, and after a huge off earlier on in the race for Barry Rabbit, he's now back up to 4th position after the Westbrook's demise, shall we say. So let's have a very quick look at what on earth happened in this starting sequence. And Barry Rabbit's perspective is probably what we're going to use. He's going through. He's in 4th place at the moment, but there's going to be an awful lot. In fact, let's have a look at Anthony Mott. Because obviously Anthony, he was in a good position, but there was never coming together early on with him and Barry Rabbit. I feel like there's already a lot of drivers falling down the order, so Anthony definitely wasn't one of the drivers that was involved in an early incident. I'll try and find out specifically what happened to Anthony Mott. In fact, here it is. I think I was just about to see it, to be honest. He gets sent a little bit wide from Barry, but I mean, Barry didn't take any kind of contact there, and he just ends up getting spat back across the circuit. Clive Bailey and Mark Hoskin nice and close to each other now. This is obviously as well for Max Hunt just ahead. Quite important because it's a potential podium in the GT3 category. And like we keep saying, obviously there is two distinct categories here this evening. The GT3s, that's currently led by the pink Ferrari of Matt Dickens, just ahead of Alex Martin, we're currently having a look at. Now, Alex Martin is currently third place in the GTEs, but obviously that will probably be bolstered if they can get past Matt Dickens, because the overall podium is where the GTEs should be. There's no doubt about it, they are the quicker cars. But like Anthony Mott showed in the second race of the evening, it's more about how on earth do you actually get past, and you know, how consistent can you be is the more important metric in this championship. Well, not really a championship, in these social races. Going back to Clive Bailey and Mark Hoskin though, it's getting a bit closer to Max Hunt as well as the trees get in our view of Bailey going through on Hoskin. That's not very helpful in the slightest. Thank you very much, camera packs and trees. Now, John Westbrook and Alec Westbrook are yet again launching a fight back up the order. They're in 5th place and 6th place, which is still a gain of 8 positions each off the start of this race, but it's not necessarily been as quick or as pain-free as they would like, as the cars take a huge bump through the order there. Wide goes Matt Dickens. That's not what he'll want, because the last thing he needs is to be taken out by any of these GTE drivers, as they're doing exactly that through the carousel. Alex Martin gives him a bit of a touch up the back, and Dickens is under a massive amount of threat here. Oh, don't part yourself on the carousel. Dickens, he's got Hoskin. How far away? It's 15 seconds back is Hoskin, and then fortunately for Dickens, Max Hunt has had a spin as well. A huge incident for Max Hunt as Barry Rabbit goes into the race lead on Chris Knox, and finally Barry can be the one to use the slipstream on Chris. I think Chris may have had a potentially a bit of an incident. No, I think Barry's just caught him on pure pace there, so fair play to Barry. As he slots back in, Chris will try and use... I mean, the Dollinger Straight is so long here at the Nordschleife that you can actually be overtaken and then get back in the slipstream and potentially look for an overtake into the complex. But you'd have to be a very brave man to attempt such things. Going through the penultimate corner then, we're about to round out the first lap of 4 here at the Nordschleife Industrielfahrten. With Barry Rabbit in the race lead, or 6 minutes, 41.4, 3 tenths of a second quicker than Chris Knox. And Barry has gained 5 positions to get where they are at the moment. John and Alec nice and close. Now, Alec has established himself probably as the slightly quicker driver here this evening, but John has been in the better positions to take the points, there were points, or race victories, shall I say. Podium positions, John, if anybody remembered, I wish I could bring back the highlights from race number 2 because it was sensational. I'm hoping someone clipped it. Because it was, you know, something to behold, really. The fact that John Westbrook was leading by a good 8 seconds or so throughout the entirety of race number 2, pretty much, and then gets stuck somehow on the... he had a bit of a spin, to be honest, but then he got stuck on the Armco, which is something I've never seen happen before, and something that you'll probably never see happen again, because there's probably only a couple of pixels where that glitch will occur. But, yeah, if anybody was watching that and didn't clip it, well, I'm definitely going to clip it when I watch it back. So, it's a shame that we can't bring you some highlights of the previous races, but unfortunately, iRacing just doesn't let us do that. Will the Westbrooks work together, though? That's the question. Because, obviously, there's a 1.1 second gap, and it's a visual gap that you can see to Alex Martin. But then there's a 6 second gap. Now, they are only a quarter of the way through this race so far, so there's every opportunity that they could have a few more incidents up in the race lead. I mean, Barry Rabbit and Chris Knox are not famed this evening for having sort of clean races, shall we say. I think I'm getting the hiccups, which is never a good trait for a commentator to have, especially if I'm running solo like I am tonight. Normally, we do have Ed May with us in the commentary booth, but Ed is unfortunately unable to be here with us tonight. I'm hoping that he'll be with us next week. And if you're watching this, Ed, I hope everything's good with what's going on. Yeah, with everything. I hope you'll be back next week, and he should be. There's no real reason why he wouldn't be, as both drivers go locking up, making a habit of this. Both Barry and Chris. Yeah, they're almost doing things in sympathy with each other. What on earth has happened here? So Alex Westbrook going through. Is this a crash with Alex Martin? No, it's not with her. Oh, it is going to involve them, no. And straight into the side. He's parked on the middle of the road. So Alex Martin actually went off track earlier on, which is how these two went past in the first place. Yeah, there you go. A little bit of a wide moment there from Alex. Those two drivers go on through, and then obviously we saw that incident just then. Focusing back at the lead of this race, though, because these two, since getting together, I mean, it's a shame that Barry Rabbit's PC died in the first race, because they've given us fantastic entertainment for the rest of the race. As Barry looks under threat now from Chris, going through on the outside, potentially. No, that's a little bit of a scary defensive manoeuvre through Bravery Corner now for Barry Rabbit. Getting nice and wide, really using the track on the outside there, but it's definitely pushing Barry to its limits, and I'm sure it's pushing Chris as well. I mean, we've seen mistakes don't come from nothing, and these cars are difficult to drive under pressure. We mentioned it in the first race, they're difficult to drive with the ABS coming into fruition, but it's also difficult pretty much to drive full stop. Through the carousel then. Neither driver gets spat out in the wrong end of anything. So it goes through Barry Rabbit. I think John Westbrook's just gone through, and Alex Westbrook as well. In fact, no, we knew that already. It's actually Alex Martin and Alex Westbrook going side by side yet again. As Barry Rabbit takes a whole heap of curb going through the right-hander. And as they've started to settle down, Max Hunt has had a crash. Matt Dickens still leads the GT3 category. There was every opportunity for Max Hunt to try and get that as well, but it wasn't to be. Let's have a look at what happened to Max Hunt now. It's just gone wide through Bravery Corner. Has done actually very well not to collide into the side of what I believe is Clive Bailey, but he has got into the side in the end of the actual Armco in the track. So it's not all fun for Max Hunt at the moment. As Barry Rabbit still leads the way. And in fact, I just want to try and have a... I don't think we ever quite had a look at what happened to Max Hunt after that spin earlier on. Just trying to have a quick glance down. And I don't think it's appearing on my replay counter, unfortunately. So maybe that was the reason why we didn't see it in the first place. Oh! Chris Knox with a massive off. And you could tell that he was pushing that car to the limit. Chris Knox has gone spinning wide. Oh, just too much speed taken in. Touching the outside of the circuit. And unfortunately, spelling an unfortunate end there for Chris Knox, who gets overtaken by John Westbrook, who finds himself all of a sudden, somehow, in another podium position. Alex Westbrook again has had a crash. Where is the replay for this one? Oh, is it through the second carousel again? It is. He went in too narrow and came out of it too wide. That's the classic trope. If you go into a corner narrow, you will come out of it wide. Nearly always better to go into it wide and come out of it narrow if you're going to choose either one of them. Oh, Anthony Mott. After taking that race victory in race number 1 and 2 in the GT3 category, it's not gone so well this time round. Also, a big thank you to Tom Smith, who I think has given a subscribe on the YouTube channel. Thank you very much. Anthony Mott goes wide there. Matt Dickens is hunting down a GTE driver on the Dollinger Straight. That is Mark Hoskins just ahead, who gives a little bit of a tap of the brakes. Now, how brave is Dickens going to be, knowing full well that he doesn't need to make the move? He's in the lead of his own little fight, shall we say, his own little race by about 45 seconds, it has to be said, as well, ahead of Max Hunt. And Matt doesn't look like he's getting any opportunity to try and close that gap. Speaking of closing a gap, though, Adam Hayes and Clive Bailey are getting very close and personal. Hayes looked like he didn't quite get a good exit out of the penultimate corner, which has led him to be exposed going into the first corner here at the Nordschleife Industrielfahrten. Basically, the ring part of the Nürburgring is what we're doing tonight, not the F1 track, which is the track that I was actually racing at yesterday night in an MX-5. So I can't exactly say much about the experience of driving in this particular track, because basically I try and avoid the Nordschleife, the actual ring part of the Nürburgring, as much as possible, really, because it's a very difficult circuit, as you can imagine, as you're seeing right now. And it doesn't matter what I'm driving, I just can't seem to hack it, and I very much can't seem to learn the track, so I don't even attempt to. Paul Donkins. Oh, and a little bit of a squirrely moment, a couple of stabs at the rats. What's going to happen to him, though? Is it going to be a massive curve moment? No! Entry into the carousel. I'm not entirely sure how that happened. I'm gonna have a look at that again, to be honest. That scream of that RSR engine. So keep an eye as I go into it here. He's going to just pitch his car left. Oh, the back end was going already. Back end had gone by the time Donkin had even tried to turn his car around. So Alex Martin and Alec Westbrook, they're probably getting sick of each other by the time this race is done and dusted, as Alec therefore goes through again, but again makes a mistake, locks up, and gives an opportunity for Alex Martin to go back through. And I have to say, to be fair to Alex Martin, they've made a lot less mistakes than Alec, that's for sure. Chris Knox goes through on John Westbrook. John Westbrook, I believe, well, I'm guessing he must have had a bit of an incident. Oh, Alec Westbrook's about to have a big incident. Oh, just about caught onto it before it went into the back of Alex Martin. A very interesting evening that Alec Westbrook is having, really, after qualifying on pole position, and nothing really else has gone very well for him. This is Chris Knox going through on John Westbrook, and there is Westbrook. So it didn't come off as an off track or a crash to me, but it does look like that he's just gone wide. Just gone wide and couldn't get back on the circuit quick enough. Oh, we've had a big incident. We've had a massive incident, I believe. All of a sudden with Adam Hayes. All of a sudden, either that or a lot of people just crashed simultaneously in different parts of the track. Adam Hayes has an incident there, and is he going to come back on the track and make contact with Max Hunt? New like, thank you very much, Katie. How was the Zoom with Mr. Rowbottom? Max Hunt going through. Now, this is a separate crash by the looks of it. Oh, it is going. No, here comes Adam Hayes. Here comes Adam Hayes. And away we go. And anybody who was watching before and remember me talking about a Warthog races that we used to do on Halo, well, he just saw it, basically. Demolition Derby style stuff. Terry Buckle and Clive Bailey have also had a coming together. He was an hour late, but it was good. Got out of testing late. Terry Buckle has a little bit of a spin going wide, and is it going to be an unsafe rejoin which causes him to have a crash with Clive Bailey? No. Maybe Clive Bailey just has a crash all on their own. Yep, I think that's going to be the case, isn't it? Yep, off wide then, straight into the Armco. Terry Buckle still having unfortunate incidents, shall we say. So this is after the crash that we just saw with Terry. I think it's going to be a continuation of a theme here. Yeah, a little bit too much pace. Locks up, and I think the next crash that is registered on my highlights reel is the fact that he's going to go off onto the off the circuit. Now, there we go. That's the crash, apparently. It's a shame that Mr. Rowbottom was late, but at least he got on in the end, KT. He was... what was it like? Was it just a Q&A style thing? Obviously, I haven't caught any of it. I've heard Dan Rowbottom is a really nice guy, so I hope that it was enjoyable and everything like that. He wasn't too stressed after testing. Clive Bailey, I tell you what, has actually got the fastest lap of the race. I assume it's the... it's not the fastest lap of the race. I don't know why it's coming up as a purple lap time. Maybe it's because the other drivers who set quicker, which is Barry Rabbit, didn't set them legally. That might be the reason why Clive has officially got the fastest lap of the race. Well, Katie, you missed a fantastic race in race number 2. You know, I implore you, this one has maybe died off just a touch, but it's basically been Alec Westbrook trying to catch and overtake Alex Martin, who's done a good job, to be very consistency. Maybe not as quick if Alec wasn't crashing, but obviously Alec did qualify in pole position, so there is that reason for, you know, there's evidence for him to be the quicker driver, put it that way. So as they start the final lap of the race, Barry Rabbit has come across to do such a thing. We're focusing on Alec and Alex, fighting tooth and nail to try and hold on to a podium position, but that's not going to help the matter from Alex Martin. Going wide and through the penultimate corner, through the final corner. Now a good 1.2 seconds back from Alec Westbrook. And if Alec Westbrook can actually hold on to the position now, it could be a big sort of moment for him because he needs some confidence back in the car. Matt Dickens and Max Hunt are not far away from each other at all. Look at this. This is actually not for I was going to say for GT3 honours, but actually it's Clive Bailey who's getting in the mix with Matt Dickens. And I think Dickens... Oh, Clive, where are you going? That was never on. That was absolutely never on. Clive Bailey, a GTE car, getting overtaken by a GT3. Clearly hurt the pride a little bit there. And tried to send it like nothing else straight off. Let's have a quick look at what made me look at the GT3 to begin with. Max Hunt going wide off the second carousel into the arm cone. Not the first time we've seen that. And it won't be the last one, will you? Now, this is what happened to Clive Bailey. Obviously, maybe forced out a little bit by Dickens, but that is just... I don't know if that was malicious or not. I never like to call malicious intent, but definitely didn't look like he was braking, did it? It looked almost like he was aiming. Kate, yeah, just Q&A. It shall be posted on Tin Top Racing UK on Friday evening. I think racing's looking good, albeit very gapped due to the track tonight. Yeah, you're not wrong. It is very wide apart. There's no doubt about that one. Yeah, no doubt about it. Basically, there's a very wide sort of just the nature of the Nordschleife, and as I said, it's one of those tracks that it can be exceptional, or it can just be an experience. And I think from commentating on it, I've commentated on quite a few. There's only been a handful, probably even less than that, probably 2 or 3 that I can remember. Races being consistently brilliant on it from beginning to end. I've covered quite a few VLN rounds, about, would have been around August time. August 2020, covered quite a few of them over like once a month. And they were fine, but they weren't ever sort of spectacular. And when it comes to sort of small community racing, it's always difficult for drivers to get used to the ring, basically. It's very difficult. Where? No, oh no, Barry Rabbit's had an incident. But from what I can tell, so is John Westbrook. This is Barry Rabbit's incident. Hasn't it too much, because 6.6 seconds ahead of Chris Knoxstill. Oh, yeah, but that's actually quite a big incident. He's lucky that it spat in the right way. He didn't have to do a 3-point turn there, because that could have really hurt. And as we cut back live, Alex Martin and John Westbrook. Now, what on earth is happening to John Westbrook? I haven't seen anything on my incident counter, but he was in third quite happily. Now Alec Westbrook is in third quite happily. As Alex Martin goes wide, we're still trying to find where that happened. Maybe he wasn't in third happily. Maybe I'm remembering things wrong. I wish there was a search. We have had a crash. Is this something we missed? This is while he was ahead of Chris Knox by the looks of it a long time ago. And that is a huge incident, to be fair. And, yeah, collected. And maybe that is why John Westbrook, from what I remembered, was in second place. Sorry, third place, but no longer. Oh, that's why those two actually went wide as well. So that's something we saw those two going wide through Bravery Corner, I think, but we didn't see the reason why, and that is the reason why for John Westbrook. Yeah, like I was saying, the ring, it's a difficult one, really, because it's inexperience. I get why people want to race it, but actually it never really brings up the best racing, in my opinion. I think the Nürburgring F1 track is very good. I think that promotes really good racing. There's plenty of overtaking opportunities. It takes a lot of skill. It's flowing. I'm actually a massive fan, and I think there should be more races done on the F1 circuit rather than the Nordschleife, especially for sim racing. Just because I think the Nordschleife, with the lack of spatial awareness that you get from maybe only having a single monitor, or even triple monitors, even VR, you know, you don't have that spatial awareness. You don't have that feeling, that gut feeling that you need while going round to really get the most out of a circuit like this. Obviously, the top guys, they can do it. But for me, the average sim racer, it's not enjoyable to drive or race, in my opinion. But obviously, a lot of communities still do it, so it's completely up to them. But as I said, I think actually if they're going to go to the Nürburgring, it's better to do the F1 circuit, because that's really good racing. Not quite the experience, it's not quite got the name and the history, but as I said, in my opinion, it's the better circuit for sim racing anyway. Barry Rabbit, though, he's rounding out the penultimate corner and the final corner for the final time to take the race victory here at the Nordschleife Industrielfahrten. I won't get bored of ever saying that. Chris Knox takes home the second place, and as Alec Westbrook, who's had one of the most eventful races I've ever seen from a podium position driver, is coming across the line to take third place. God knows how on earth he's got away with that one. John Westbrook comes across in fourth, and after everything, Alex Martin comes home in fifth. I tell you what, I still am not entirely sure how Alec Westbrook actually got away with that one, because the amount of recovery positions he had to take up there is quite astounding, as well as Chris Knox and people like that as well. Barry Rabbit drove a really good race in that his official second race, because obviously he missed, his PC crashed during the first one, but it's a brilliant drive from him in this race just gone. Really found the rhythm, really found the intensity, even though he had that bit of an off in the final 2 laps compared to a lot of the other, compared to the second race of the evening, shall we say, and his first race, that was very, very clean indeed. Hoskin, comes across the line. Andy Montgomery, thank you very much for the like on the stream. Hope you enjoyed watching it back. Well done on the racing tonight. Although I don't think the third race really went your way, by the looks of it, because you didn't make it. You were in the pits for a long time. Sorry about that. Yeah, well, there's actually a lot of drivers who didn't actually make that race, whether or not it was because they just had to jump off, or whether it was because they crashed out early on, not sure. Sometimes they do let us know in the Discord, sometimes they do let us know in the Facebook chat, but neither have been updated with any reasons why. So we'll just wait for the results, as Max Hunt is going to come across the line to take what will be second place, in all fairness, in the GT3 category. Now, whether or not you agreed with the split of the classes, the GTE GT3 split, Let me know in the chat. You know, it would have been a good poll to put up actually halfway through whether you think they should jump back to the GT3s or the GTEs. But either way, we can bring you the results for the feature race this evening. There we go. Barry Rabbit takes the overall victory for the second time, actually. Considering... or was it Chris Knox in the first race? Let's have a... Sorry, just all of a sudden, just had a mind blank. Let's have a look. It was Barry Rabbit. Yeah, by less than a tenth of a second. Yeah, so Barry Rabbit takes the second victory of the evening. So, apart from the first race, where his PC crashed, Barry Rabbit actually takes 100% of the victories that he's participated in tonight. Chris Knox is second place. Alec Westbrook, who qualified on pole, looked like he had fantastic pace all evening, but not necessarily the consistency to go with it, takes the podium. John Westbrook in fourth, Alex Martin in fifth, Mark Hoskin in sixth. John Westbrook also won the first race as well, if anybody was wondering and tuning in late. Matt Dickens, takes the victory in GT3. Anthony Mott took the first two of the evening, and Matt Dickens comes in with the third one. Clive Bailey in 8th place, and Max Hunt takes second in the GT3s. A lap down was Terry Buckle, 2 laps down was Adam Hayes, Michael Tucker, Paul Donkin, and then 3 laps down was Anthony Mott, and 4 laps down was Andy Montgomery, Christian Wafer, Steve Gummer, and Richard Abra. And I believe there's one more driver to come on that list as well. Havanas Gevorgian, and then there's me. But obviously I'm not supposed to be there. Whew. What an evening. Definitely an experiment. Whether or not it's one they're going to stick with is up for debate. And I'm sure they'll let me know what they decide before next week. But we will be back next week. I can't tell you where we'll be. I can't tell you what cars we'll be in, because that's all decided on a vote on their WhatsApp group tomorrow, I believe. So good luck with that, guys. I hope you pick a good one. As I said, if you pick the F1 version of the Nürburgring, I don't think you'd be disappointed. My personal opinion is that I quite like the split, the GTEs and the GT3s. But if one is by far more popular, and obviously the GT3s, they had a good race in race number 1, but not necessarily race 2 and 3, because there were less of them and they crashed out. It's whether or not they really feel like it was worth it. The GTE cars are a difficult car to drive. They are very rewarding. GT3s, a little bit more commonplace, shall we say, and you guys are already used to them for the Ferraris. I think either would be a pretty damn good choice. I think the Dallaras maybe were a little bit tricky. The problem with the Dallaras is obviously open wheel means that you don't necessarily always get the rub of the green in terms of wheel-to-wheel contact. It's a bit easy to tangle tyres. So I quite like the idea of closed wheel action, and I think it worked well. So well done to all the drivers. Thank you very much for everyone who's tuned in, commented, shared the stream, liked the stream, done whatever you've done. This has been the Pure GT Social Races here at the Nordschleife Industrielfahrten with the GTEs and GT3s. My name's been Jack Oliphant.